Hi, everybody. Sorry, my screen's a little crazy right now. Here is my presentation. I will be presenting on iron, and I chose iron because I know it's important, but I didn't know necessarily why. And so preparing this presentation really helped me learn a lot more about iron, and I will be much more aware of how the lack of iron I'm getting through my diet could be affecting my health. So let's start. This is a little introduction. The RDA for men and women are different. Men is 8 milligrams and women is 18 milligrams. The upper level is 45 milligrams per day, and exceeding this amount regularly can lead to an iron toxicity, which I will go into later detail in the presentation. A very important part of iron is that it transports oxygen all throughout the body. A component of hemoglobin carries oxygen in the blood from the lungs to all the tissues, while myoglobin transports oxygen from red blood cells to the skeletal and heart muscle cells. The major functions that involve iron are mostly dependent on the iron's ability to participate in oxidation and reduction reactions. The changing of, I'm going to try and say this right, furious to furic iron and back again. Iron is an important part of two proteins, myoglobin and hemoglobin. And these two proteins are involved in the transport and metabolism of oxygen. Iron is required for immune function by producing lymphocyte and natural killer cells that help prevent infections. Iron is a cofactor for enzymes involved in the synthesis of neurotransmitters, which are important for early cognitive development and lifelong brain function. As well, it also serves to function within energy metabolism. For the food sources, iron comes in two forms, heme iron and non-heme iron. Heme iron is the best source of dietary iron because of its high bioavailability, meaning our bodies are able to digest and absorb this type of iron easier than non-heme. This is found in animal flesh products, including beef, pork, seafood, and poultry. Non-heme iron is just as important as heme, but it is less bioavailable and must be reduced to heme iron before absorption. This type of iron is found in plants and supplements. Another source of iron is cookware that is used while preparing food. It flakes off of the pot or pan and is then incorporated into the food. Populations that are at risk of iron deficiency are premature infants, because iron stores are needed for the first few months of life. Young children, because they're growing really fast and typically have low intake of iron rich meat, but a high intake of iron poor cow's milk. Teenage girls and women of childbearing age are at risk because of monthly menstrual blood loss and low intake of iron rich foods. Vegetarians are also at risk because they consume high amounts of non-heme iron, which, as I mentioned earlier, is less bioavailable. And then individuals who donate blood frequently are at high risk because it takes several months to replace the iron that is lost in the blood donation to replace itself. And I included some symptoms as well for those who might be iron deficient, fatigue, on exertion, poor immune function, and anemia. And I showed a little picture of what your a normal amount of red blood cells would look like, and then the anemic amount of red blood cells. That was kind of nice just to see the difference. Next, as I stated earlier, the upper level is 45 milligrams a day. Obviously, if that is exceeded regularly, toxicity will become present, and the symptoms of iron toxicity is gastrointestinal upset, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, impaired absorption of other trace minerals. The populations at risk are children under 6 years of age because accidental iron overdose can be caused by an overload of chewable iron containing supplements. And adults can have an overload as well, because it is the result of hemochromatosis, which is a genetic condition where the mucosal block that protects the body from excess iron absorption is ineffective. And that will then result in an iron buildup in the body. And I was able to provide a picture of what a healthy liver would look like, and then a liver with hemochromatosis, if I'm saying that right, because of the excess iron buildup. This was mentioned just a little bit earlier in the presentation, how iron functions with energy metabolism. And iron also plays a role in drug and alcohol transformation and the excretion of organic compounds as well. So with the energy metabolism, it's in the mitochondria, and it aids in carrying electrons from NADH plus H plus and FADH2 to molecular oxygen in the electron transport chain. Iron is also required in the first step of the citric acid cycle to convert to help in the conversion of citrate to subsequent compounds. And I provided that picture right there for you to kind of just get an idea of that. Alcohol and many other drugs are metabolized in the liver by the iron-containing enzymes prior to excretion. So it aids in the electron transport chain and the citric acid cycle. What I found most interesting about iron is that heme iron is transported across the brush border. This is presented in this section right here, in this little section A. And non-heme iron has to be reduced. Non-heme is right here. As you can see, it's not going through. It has to be reduced to, reading my notes, has to be reduced to heme iron before it can be transported across. And there is that transport right there going into or across the brush border. Some of the iron is stored in ferritin, which shows right here in B. This is ferritin, but and this is the heme iron that I just went through the brush border. Sorry, I didn't let you know about that. And then, so that's heme, and this is non-heme. And some of it can go into ferritin with the heme, but also some of it comes over here. Sorry, I have a hard time saying these words. Okay. Ferroportin right here will aid in the export of iron out of the intestinal cell. And then transport of heme iron, it'll cross the membrane. Actually, all of the iron, as you can see right here, crosses that membrane. But then the non-heme that was broken down into heme then converts back into non-heme. It is oxidized into non-heme, as you can see right there. So I thought that was really interesting. This really helped me understand the difference between heme and non-heme and its absorption. And so that really was fascinating to me, actually. Next, this table was a highlight in the literature, I thought, because it really was able to break down the different stages of iron deficiency. The book actually states that iron deficiency is the most widespread nutritional deficiency in the United States, and many people are at risk at becoming iron deficient. So it's really important to know how to recognize iron stores, but so our body is regulating that on its own. But then as we get into the moderate iron deficiency, that's when we kind of start to kind of notice our fatigue a little bit when we are exerting our energy, and our immune function starts to go down. But then the real symptoms that we are able to see that something is wrong is when the severe iron deficiency comes into play. And so, as you can see, oxygen transport is lower, fatigue is higher, our infection rate or possibility of infection is increased, cognitive development is decreased, and mortality is increased. So I thought that was a real highlight of the literature to show that we were able to get a better understanding of it. So this was an article that I found that I really liked, and it was written by two authors that are registered dietitians, and they explain 10 reasons why we might need to supplement iron into our diet. Anemia is caused by not enough iron in our red blood cells, which results in an insufficient amount of oxygen in our cells. So that is a reason why we would need to supplement. Pregnancy is another reason, because of the additional iron that is needed in our body. And then a mother who is nursing their infant, the infant needs to build up their iron stores in their body. And so through the breast milk, the mothers are providing iron. And so nursing mothers would need to supplement into their diet for their infants. Menstruation will deplete your iron stores, and you would need to supplement iron somehow into your diet for that. Female athletes who are exerting energy a lot will need to maybe they can get tested for that to see if they need to supplement more iron into their diet. But exercise is a reason. Those who regularly donate blood will need to supplement iron, but also those who might lose their blood and they're not even knowing it. And those reasons can be ulcers or gastrointestinal bleeding. So that would be something to look into, or if you know you have it, then your iron levels could be possibly low. Dialysis is another reason for iron supplementation, because the kidneys are responsible for making I can't even say this. Sorry. Let me try again. Erythropoietin hormone, which tells the body to make more red blood cells. And then medication might possibly deplete iron in your body. So if you're taking medications that are lowering your iron, you need to talk to your doctor about that. ADHD is also found to associate with iron deficiency. ACE inhibitors decrease iron, so make sure you talk to your doctor and you're able to find out if you have enough iron in your body. And if you need to take a supplement for iron, make sure your doctor is aware of that. Just be careful with the amount of iron you're supplementing into your diet, but also be aware of the toxicity that could potentially happen. And then here's my works cited. A lot of the information that I was able to provide was from our text. And next, it was the article that was written on Helpline about the 10 reasons why you might need to supplement iron. And then most of the images were from Google Images, but slides 7 through 9, those images were taken from our textbook. And that is all. Hopefully you enjoyed the presentation.